Hello and welcome. This is The World Now. I am Precious Amayo. Let's begin in the Middle East. The exchange of strikes between Israel and Iran has entered its seventh day. Israel's defense minister says Iran's supreme leader can no longer be allowed to exist after the Soroka hospital was hit during an Iranian missile attack. Iran responded that the missile strike targeted a military site next to the hospital in southern Israel and not the facility itself. Dozens of people were reported injured across Israel after Iran fired a barrage of missiles overnight. We'll have more in this report.
Fighting between Israel and Iran has entered a seventh day. A hospital in southern Israel was hit in an Iranian missile strike, while the IDF bombed a nuclear reactor in the southwest of Tehran. Iranian missiles caused serious damage at 4 sites in central and southern Israel, including the Soroka hospital, where Israeli forces are reported to have attacked Iran's heavy nuclear reactor. U.S. President Donald Trump says he's still weighing his options on United States military intervention in the escalating hostilities. Israel's public broadcaster says that 137 people were transported from the site attacked by Iran today for medical treatment. The IAEA declared Iran in breach of its non-proliferation obligations for the first time in nearly 20 years.
On the basis of our inspections, on the basis of our own evaluations, we came to the conclusion that we could not affirm that there is any systematic effort in Iran at the moment to manufacture a nuclear weapon. While we say that, at the same time, we say Iran is enriching 60% uranium, the only country in the world doing that. So there were elements for concern. But as to saying they are building manufacturing a nuclear weapon, no, we didn't say that.
Our report concludes that Israel essentially obliterated the education system in Gaza. More than 90% of schools and university buildings in Gaza have been destroyed or damaged, creating conditions where education for children has been made impossible. These attacks were part of a widespread and relentless assault against the Palestinian people, in which Israeli forces have committed war crimes, including directing attacks against civilians and willful killing, and the crime against humanity of extermination.
As Israel waits for U.S. President Donald Trump to announce whether the U.S. will join Israel's strikes against Iran, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has thanked the president for standing by their side. He acknowledged that Israel is suffering many losses, painful losses at that. He also noted that intense fighting will continue in the Gaza Strip. According to Netanyahu, he says, in quote, "We will continue until we bring everyone home and until Hamas is fully defeated." President Trump issued a veiled but forceful warning to Iran, suggesting that the United States may take direct military action amid the ongoing Israel-Iran conflicts. Speaking to reporters during the installation of a new flagpole on the south lawn of the White House, the president was asked if the U.S. was preparing to strike Iranian nuclear sites. The president's remark came a day after he convened his national security team in the White House, signaling deepening U.S. engagement as the conflict enters its second week.
Nuclear component. And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country. It's very sad to watch this. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's so You know, everyone thought it was going to be the reverse. I didn't think so.
The situation has escalated sharply following preemptive strikes on nuclear military targets starting on the 13th of June this year, prompting a barrage of Iranian missiles and drones in response. Iran has issued another threat to the United States as Donald Trump weighs up getting involved in the conflict. The deputy foreign minister in Iran said that if the United States wanted to intervene to support Israel, then Tehran will teach aggressors a lesson.
And joining me now to discuss the escalating tension in the Middle East as President Trump signals support for Israel is global affairs analyst Kach Onoju. Good to have you join us, Mr. Onoju.
Thank you very much for having me again.
So, U.S. President Donald Trump initially cautioned Israel against taking military action while there was U.S.-Iran talks ongoing. But now, President Trump has approved, we understand that he has approved plans to attack Iran, but has not made a final decision whether to strike the country or not. What do you make of the shift in approach?
It's not a shift in approach. It's a shift in rhetorics. What you're hearing from Trump currently are the truths about the aggression by Israel against Iran. They believe Trump made a mistake for unilaterally canceling the inspections the last time he was a president. And that has allowed Iran to go much, much deeper in its strategies of hiding these nuclear facilities and enrichment processes underground, stories beneath mountains, where we know very well, despite all the things that has happened in the past week, Israel does not have the tanker busting capabilities to penetrate those reserves. Only United States does have such bombing capabilities to actually get to the very depth of the places, some of the places where some of these nuclear properties and assets are actually hidden. So in principle, Mr. Trump is now revealing to the whole world the real reasons for Israel's attacks of Iran's facility. It is to force Iran into buckling on the negotiation tables. So it has nothing to do with anything Israel tells you, but I tell you, on a long-term calculation, Israel sees Iran and its brother Pakistan. Don't forget, Pakistan and Iran both share border, and that's why after the first wave of the attacks against Iran by Israel, the radars went off on the first day. On the second day, they came up, and the West believes that the Iranians are getting help from the Pakistanis. So you just have to understand, Israel is not going to win. No. Because Iran has anticipated this war for over 40 years and have taken time to bury those facilities, which of course, as you've heard now from the IAEA, yes, there are enrichment assets, there are enrichment capabilities, and there are instrumentations towards enrichment, but there is no evidence to show that Iran had made a dash towards producing a nuclear weapon. No. Yes, there are plutonium enriching capabilities, and they have enrichment capabilities.
But Mr. Onoju, if I may quickly come in, has this attack, by Israel, not sort of achieved a reverse impact? Is Iran, has this not sort of strengthened Iran's resolve to empower its nuclear capacity, seeing that perhaps that might be its only way to protect itself?
Well, I think it's good that you're saying this, because Israel's calculation has been on now for over 40 years, believing that it cannot, as an experiment in the creation of the new Israel since 48, exist if such a force. And don't forget what Iran is. This is an old civilization. These are Persians. So this is a civilization that has not been conquered. And you're not thinking about creating the new Israel where it's now been created, and thinking with Iran thriving as a civilization as an ancient civilization, it may not be possible to put Iran there, Israel there in the long term. So I believe we will have to find a way to coexist with Israel and Iran, and of course with Pakistan. The West now beginning to understand how very difficult it is for Israel to think it could erase Iran. That's not possible. Through the ages, through the Middle Ages, nobody's erased Babylon, erased Mesopotamia, and Iran represents the past about man's origins, and the reasons why civilizations did not conquer Iran still persist. Don't forget the caves that are there.
Mr. Onoju, we understand, just because of time, permit me to also butt in. We understand that American commanders have put troops on high alert throughout the region. As fears of a wider war grows, what would be the implication of a U.S. intervention on behalf of Israel?
The U.S. is not doing an intervention. The U.S. is being instructed by Israel because U.S. has not had a foreign policy in the past 10, 20 years in the Middle East. What U.S. has been always doing is available to give teeth to Israeli intentions in the region. It is not U.S. policy, no. It is Israeli policy that, you know, the way you say when you wag the tail, no, it is not the tail wagging the dog. So it is Israeli policy that you actually see in the USA go on and calibrate. It is not the U.S. policy in the Middle East, no. You are talking about the implementation of Israeli policy by the United States in the Middle East. But I tell you, what we are looking at now is Israel's trepidation. The trepidation is built on what do we do with Iran. It is true, there are reasons why nobody has conquered Iran through the ages. When you conquer them, they will come back and take back land. Just take through your history. So I don't see Israel succeeded in this. Yes, it is probably to pepper Iran, to force them to negotiate, which is what you're not hearing from Mr. Trump. They all want both Israel and United States to force Iran to negotiate. Mr. Trump made a mistake. And when Trump unilaterally cut off negotiations, he allowed Iran to go very far with that program. And coming now to say what Israel has said over 20 years ago, over 30 years ago, over 10 years ago, that's nothing new. It's not going to be easy for anybody to take Iran out.
And now, is Iran going to negotiate from a weakened position?
Well, don't forget Iran has allies. You heard what happened. 2 plane loads, Boeings, that left China with wares and equipment and flew towards Iran, and then later on, nobody could see that on the radar. So Iran is not without friends. It does have friends in Russia, it does have friends in China, and you are beginning to see a war that has been prepared for a very long time. So Israel didn't start very early. So, and the fact that you can see the reasons why the U.S. is saying all this is, despite Israel's attempts in the past 1 week, they have not been able to crack the nut or gain access to the deep underneath mountain installations. This is why they are begging the United States, please come bring your tanker busting capabilities and come and throw some of those bombs. That's the only reason why the United States is being expected, nothing else. So what this tells you is frustrations that they've not done what they want to do against Iran, and they are begging the United States, and United States being very frustrated that Israel is reporting that these things are not yet hard damaged, and the U.S. saying we may simply come and do the job. Iran negotiate, Iran agree, Iran buckle. I don't think negotiations go that way. Why? Iran has backers in Russia, backers in China, and of course some other allies. And this particular argument has been made for over 40 years. And Iran had learned well and has gone well to hide it. So let us find a way to call for peace and not bombing Iran.
And we hope that there is a path to peace, Mr. Onoju, because the last statement coming from the Ayatollah is that the battle begins, but we hope that there is a diplomatic solution. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Global Affairs Analyst Kach Onoju.
Thank you for having me.
Right, you're watching.